Welcome to Pages of the Multiverse, where every universe has a story. In this video, we will dive into the tragic story of Peter Parker from Earth-688. What if Peter Parker didn't stop mutating after that fateful spider bite? What if the transformation kept going, twisting his body, warping his mind, until the man we knew vanished entirely? This isn't your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This is the story of Earth-688. A world where power and responsibility mutated into hunger and horror. A world where Peter Parker became the monster. In this reality, Peter's mutation never stabilized. Years after gaining his spider powers, his body continues to change. Despite injecting himself with experimental serums, the transformation worsens. Every day his urges get stronger, the need to feed on fresh meat. No matter what food he had in the house, it was never enough. Every attempt he makes in finding a cure always seems to fail, which not only depresses Peter but angers him. Peter tries to remain calm. He's desperate to find a cure, not just for himself, but for Ben too. Ben Parker finds his life not as perfect as he would like, as he is bullied by Butch, the son of Flash Thompson, Peter's former high school bully. The kids in Ben's school believe that Ben is a mutant as he has an odd appearance. As Ben returned home from school, he is greeted by Peter. Peter tells Ben that he was late coming home. He thought Ben would return home once school was over. But Ben responded angrily, stated that if he was home, Peter would not have noticed. Peter tried to explain to Ben that he is working on something that will help both of them. Ben refused to listen, claiming that Peter's work was more important than his own son. Later that night, Peter transformed into a man-spider looking for food. He crawled along the walls and ceiling, reaching the kitchen fridge. He finds leftover meat and devours it, but it wasn't enough to suppress his hunger. He wakes up the next day, stating that he passed out for the third time that week. He found the leftover meat from the night before on the floor. As he was about to throw it out, the hunger returned and he started to eat the piece of meat. As Ben was ready to go to school, Peter notices that Ben's shirt was covered in blood, but Ben didn't tell him where it came from. Peter tries to speak to Ben about attending another school, where the students are gifted. Ben rejected the idea of joining the X-Men school and runs out of the house. Peter tried to tell Ben that he was only trying to help him. Just then Peter hears a noise and goes to investigate. He could smell something bad in the air, and to his horror, Peter's worst fears come true when he finds their family dog, Regis, torn apart and covered in spiderwebs. He now knows that his condition is getting worse. Later that night, Peter tries again to convince Ben to attend the school for gifted children. He tells him that they could go together and have a look around before making a decision. Ben replies with a no. He tells Ben that he is making a mistake about not attending the school. Peter was hoping to use the time to find a cure before anything happens to him. Ben argues again, thinking that he was going to be sent away so that his father didn't have to see his mutant face, and runs out of the house. At the same time, the phone rings. As Peter reaches for the phone, he starts to transform again. The phone plays a message from Professor X telling him that Ben would be accepted at the school. With all of his strength, Peter fights back against the transformation and returns to his human form. Peter prepares a dangerous serum that might halt the mutation or kill him. But before he can test it, the daughter of Mary Jane Watson, Sarah Joy Watson, informs Peter that Ben was in trouble. In a rage, Peter couldn't control himself from transforming again. He tells her that he is a monster and that she needs to get away from him. Sarah Joy tells him that his is not a monster, but if he doesn't hurry, Butch Thompson will kill Ben. Now that Ben has embraced his spider genes, he has now transformed into a spider creature. The city ignites. Police swarm the streets. Ben is hunted like an animal. In an alley, surrounded by cops, Ben begs for them to leave. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He lashes out, using webs and claws. He escapes into the darkness. Ben is eventually cornered by the mob. But there's no mercy left in them. Just pitchforks and fear. They beat him down, and then out of the shadows, Peter arrives to save his son, still transforming into his spider form. He shields his son, and he strikes back at Flash. The mob calls him a monster, but Peter promises to show them a real monster. He fights back as hard as he could, but is overpowered by the mob of men. They beat him down, Peter shouts at Ben to run and that he will always be with him and to remember him. As Ben flees, Sarah watches her best friend run into the darkness. The Peter Parker may not have been a hero on this Earth, but he died a loving father, protecting his son. Ben leaves New York and travels to Winchester with nothing but a backpack and his father's journals. He finds his way to the Xavier Institute. On Earth-688, Peter Parker didn't die a hero in the public eye. He died misunderstood. But in the eyes of his son, he died a father, brave, broken, and full of love. If this story moved you, or made you think differently about power, mutation, or the price of being different, leave a comment below. Which what if should we explore next in the multiverse? Subscribe to Pages of the Multiverse, and remember, sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones who lose themselves, saving others.